This podcast is part of the Michigan Sports and Entertainment Podcast Network. Go to michigansportsandentertainment.com for more great podcasts.
Hey everyone, this is Austin.
What's going on, guys? This is John.
And you're listening to the Voice of the Fan Sports Podcast. All right, John, we're back. Better mood today from yesterday, at least.
I'm kind of happy.
It's not that I was in a bad mood or super
if you guys
overly
really want to hear, if you guys want to hear Austin pissed off and really sad, just go listen to the Purdue episode. Never seen him so mad in my life.
Wow, quite the exaggeration.
Well, yeah,
but you never know unless you go check it out.
Just trying to get everybody to go listen to the Purdue episode, Austin.
Right, there you go. But hey, we're back. I think what is it, 18,
something
19?
Like that.
I really should probably write it down. I'm really bad about that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I should just start naming them something different when we upload these things.
Yeah, maybe.
It's gonna be interesting when we get to episode 47.
Why?
I'm just saying, like, just a random number that popped into my head. Just saying, when we get that far down the line, we're not writing it down, and it's just like episode 46, 47. We'll start mixing up in our heads.
Just gonna be saying off season 2019.
Yeah,
continuing off season 2019. But anyway,
what a start!
We're here, and Spartan fans, big win this past weekend. A couple of big wins actually, and I know you guys are excited for this coming Saturday. So
yes,
John, go ahead and take us off, man. What we got?
Excuse me. Yeah. So
sneeze. Okay, great.
Good way to start, right? That's what we're going to cover all day is my sneeze.
Fantastic.
But it's been a couple weeks since we've talked to you guys. The last week was my fault. I was under the weather, it's actually kind of funny how I sneezed right before I started talking about this. So, feeling better now though, and we're back at it. Obviously, talk about the Sweet 16 win. That wasn't really much of a game, to be honest, with LSU. Then obviously the huge win versus Duke. Preview the Final Four. Michigan State basketball got its first 2020 commitment. What that means for the future and stuff like that. And we'll probably save football talk for next week's show. Hopefully by then we will be breaking down Tom Izzo's second championship and Michigan State's third as a program. I'm really hoping that's the case. Regardless, though, I don't think I'll be too disappointed with this season, honestly, as long as we're in the Final Four. So what else can I ask for? That being said, I know you watched a little bit of the Duke game, Austin. Did you watch the LSU game at all? Was Michigan State and Purdue playing at the same time?
No. I don't
Okay.
No, they weren't. But I think there was another game on that was closer.
Oh, choosing. You hear this, guys? Wow. All right.
You guys were up by 20. After you guys went up by like 20 points, I was like, okay, this is over.
Yeah, I know.
The other game's
You're
closer.
madness.
Yeah. The other game's over, or the other game's
Like,
close,
awesome.
so,
Michigan State honestly could not have had a better start than they did against LSU. I think they went up 9-0, 8-0 or something really quick, and we came out of the gate and pretty much punched them in the face and just pretty much told them to respond. I'll tell you what, though, that Waters kid, Tremont Waters, is really good. I like him a lot. Their little point guard, he had 23 on us, couldn't miss from behind the arc. What scared me about LSU, and me and Austin talked about this on previous shows with both of our teams, is LSU's big, man. Their bigs are huge. That's Reed guy is with the dreads. I mean, he's a big man. And he was effective, but I mean, for the most part, we kind of contained their bigs. Their two starting bigs, I believe, obviously Reed, and I think the other guys, Bigby Williams, ended up with 10 points and 9 rebounds for Reed, and then 11 points and 5 rebounds for Bigby Williams. And Michigan State just kind of controlled the game. The story of the game, however, was the two freshmen, Aaron Henry and Gabe Brown. Aaron Henry, who, was victimized by Tom Izzo and Austin. I could have sworn he was going to ruin his career. Getting yelled at by Izzo. I don't know if you guys can sense the sarcasm there. But he went out and did something that no player's done in the NCAA tournament since Grant Hill in like 94, which is the stat line. He had 20 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists. And it was his coming out party. He didn't have as good of a game against Duke, but he still made some plays against Duke. But he's one of those guys that he doesn't have the best 3-point shot, but he's a really good slasher. He loves to get to the basket, loves to get into the lane, and kind of has a little pull-up game from the mid-range, or he'll drive on you, and he has some vision on him, which is huge, being able to drive to the bucket and kick it out, or pass it to a cutter, which Tillman has become great at doing. But he was special, Austin. He played 38 minutes as a freshman in the Sweet 16 game. Izzo normally doesn't do that with freshmen, but that speaks to how well he played. He was 1 minute behind Cassius, who has not sat much at all this tournament. He played 39 minutes. Pretty sure he played the whole game against Duke. But I mean, Izzo's this whole tournament, besides against Bradley, has cut this rotation to 7, really. And I think you see a lot of coaches do that. I don't know how deep you guys were going into your bench, Austin. 8, 9 guys?
Yeah, we had a pretty strong rotation with so it would have been Travion Williams, Aaron Wheeler, Sasha Stefanovic, Eric Hunter Jr.
Oh, okay. So you guys were still bench. That's useful. That's nice.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for us, we don't have the luxury with Langford being down and Arns being down, but Izzo normally cuts it to 8, 9 guys, so 7 is a little low, but we have the tools to do it. The rotation, as a Spartan fan, it's Winston McQuaid, Henry Goins, Tillman, Gabe Brown, Nick Ward, Foster Lawyer got a minute, nice. And even with Nick Ward, I mean, he's not fully healthy with that hand, especially after he re-injured it against LSU. I don't know if you've seen that, Austin. He got when the flagrant foul they call when the guy goes up for the rebound and then the guy just kind of like bends down and kind of hip checks him, just kind of flips him. Mm-hmm. That's what Reed did to Nick Ward, and Ward landed first on his left hand, his injured hand. Luckily for him, it was just a bone bruise, not the bone that he broke. So, but still, banging that hand up again, kind of setting him back a little bit. He's not himself, and you've seen that against Duke, but he did give him big minutes. But really, like I said, it was the Aaron Henry show, and then Gabe Brown came out and hit 4 threes. You're an 18-year-old kid, and you're like, all right, we're playing in the Sweet 16 here. Go out and just shoot the ball. And he hit his first 3, and a lot of times for these kids, man, really any sport athlete or anything, it's all about confidence and getting your rhythm going. And you hit that first 3 and see it go in, it's huge for you. It's a huge relief. And he was just in the corner finding space. He had 4 threes. He had a really big and one that he got driving to the bucket. He's a really athletic kid, lanky. Had his coming out party. Did not play as much against Duke, but he gave us 16 huge minutes against LSU. And obviously Cassius was Cassius. Every time LSU made a run, Cassius would just kind of go on a mini 4-0 run on his own or a 5-0 run, hit a 3 and take it to the bucket. Or, one of his 8 assists he had, he dished him out. But I think the most impressive person of this tournament, to be honest with you, Austin, because we know what Cassius can do, has been the emergence of Xavier Tillman. We have gone from Nick Ward potentially going to the NBA to, I don't know if Nick Ward is the starting center next year, Austin. Unless you play these two together, because Tillman is developing a 3-point shot, I honestly don't see how you can start Nick Ward over Tillman. How important he is on defense. Yes, Zion Williamson did Zion Williamson things, but the ability to switch on everything when you have a guy like Xavier who can guard pretty much every position with how athletic he is, his lateral quickness, it's huge. And he has been phenomenal this tournament, to say the least. I think it kind of started in the Big Ten tournament when he really got things going. But he has been huge. Honestly, probably besides Cassius, for obvious reasons, he's my MVP of this team so far. But yeah, the LSU game, really fun to watch. I know I texted Austin. I think that might have been the Minnesota game where I said we didn't have a stressful night, but you guys did have a stressful Sweet 16 game. I take that back. I didn't have a stressful Sweet 16. It was pretty nice to kind of just, round one, Bradley. I was actually watching that game on CBS Sports. I was patiently waiting for Austin. So I was like, let's see what's going on. And of course, it was a Michigan State Bradley game, not any of the other games. That was the only other game we struggled with and just breezed through Minnesota and LSU. So, but the big game, Austin, the Michigan State Duke game, I can't begin to explain my nerves before the game. I felt like I was going to be in this game playing. Like, I can't remember the last time I've been this psyched for a Michigan State game since the Rose Bowl in 2014, I believe it was. And this is my second favorite win in Michigan State history behind that Rose Bowl. And I mean, I know you didn't watch the whole game, but you said you watched the second half, I believe, which was the half you wanted to watch because there was like 12 lead changes in the second half. So before I really dive deep on this, Austin, I know you didn't watch the whole game, but just kind of let us know what you've seen and what you thought was impressive about the Michigan State performance.
Well, I mean, obviously I picked Duke to win because I didn't like the matchup, and
even though they lost, it was a smart choice.
I mean, I think what Michigan State did a really good job of was controlling the tempo of the game, and Duke likes to get out and run, and they get energized by Zion Williamson, jumping out of the gym for a two-handed jam or something. And it happened to every single team that they basically played against. He had a highlight reel dunk, fired him up, minus the games he didn't play in. But that's what I was afraid that was going to happen. I was, when I would look at the Michigan State team, I thought to myself, who is going to be able to stop him? When they're off and running, when they're feeling it, who's going to get in his way? And I just couldn't come up with anybody. But, give Michigan State a ton of credit for their patience, running a really good offensive set and setting their half-court defense and not letting, being smart with the ball, not letting Duke get out and transition and run, where I think they're most dangerous. Because I think with young guys, a lot of stuff in the tournament, you can have a lot of talent, but what they lack in experience, they make up for with enthusiasm. So if they see the ball go in the net a bunch of times, they're going to be rocking. And that's what's been Duke's MO for the most part. They've been escaping with teams missing off the rim, but they're still winning. So I was just really impressed with Michigan State's just entire demeanor through the game. And I feel like maybe you kind of felt it coming with whatever matchup it was with Duke and Michigan State, and I think it was 05. And, that team's mantra, just talking about not being afraid, not backing down, rising up to the challenge, basically. Yeah. And it kind of just set the stage a little bit because you're looking at Duke. They've got 3 of the top 5 freshmen in the country on their team. They have one of the most exciting players, and one of the best players, if not the best player in college basketball, in Zion Williamson. And, your best defender's hurt. Senior leader's hurt. Nick Ward's hurt. He's playing through the pain. You got a couple of freshmen you're unsure about. Cassius Winston got bad knees, but he plays 40 minutes. So it's like, what's going to happen when someone athletic and lanky is going to be on him all game? And you look at that and you're like, oh man, Duke by a mile. And it's just not been this Michigan State's MO at all. They've been, in the past, I think Michigan State's had some flashy teams with a lot of talent on them. But when you look at this team, it just kind of reminds me of just almost like their football team in a way when they're winning. Yeah. They grind you into the ground. They make it painful. It's hard. It's hard to score. It's hard on offense. When you're in your defensive set, Michigan State's on offense, they're almost like Virginia. They grind you down to the end of the shot clock, and then they make a basket. Really kind of remind me, actually, now that I think about it, remind me of Virginia's game in a sense of not necessarily defensively because they play different defense, but their offensive patience and effectiveness, running the shot clock down, getting a good look, and making Duke pay for not being able to stop them. And then Duke rushing something on the other side of the floor into some defense. And then Michigan State goes back into a patient set again. So I think just a great job by Coach Izzo, putting a game plan together, getting his team ready to go. They were not intimidated. And really every single time it looked like Duke was kind of on the cusp of maybe, running away a little bit, stretching their legs out, Michigan State would answer, whether that was Cassius Winston. I know Xavier Tillman had a big dunk. Kenny Goins hit a big three. There was someone on that team able to take that big shot to fend off Duke's run and just really kind of deflate any momentum they tried to bring. So just an all-around great effort. Truly a really, great win. And obviously I think sometimes people get caught up with Michigan State is usually very good and you're not really allowed to have a signature win when you're really good because you're really good. So why do you have a signature win? Because you're the signature win. But this Duke team should have beaten this Michigan State team.
Yeah.
If you would have matched me up again to choose, I would have chosen Duke again because
for sure.
This Duke team was just so much better. But you got to give credit to Michigan State. Great win, signature win against a talented team that was way more talented than they were. And they just, they had the heart, they had the grit, they grinded out Duke. They played to their experience. And, Duke's going home. They're losing those freshmen to the NBA draft. And Michigan State's playing on Saturday for a chance to go to the championship game. So,
and I couldn't have said it better. And I'm glad like you said, if you're a really good team, you're a great program, borderline blue blood, you don't get signature wins. But the fact that it was a Duke with this loaded team, the fact that Izzo was 1-11, well, now 2-12 against Coach K, but going into the game, you're 1-11. And generally when we see Duke, let alone play Duke 12 times in the last, God, I think it was 19, 18 years or so. Unless you're an ACC team, you don't really see that a lot. But to be able to get over this hump for Izzo, and generally as a State fan, when you see Duke on that tournament, you're like, all right, we're playing Duke now. The season's over, right? I mean, you beat them 1 out of 11 times. And I don't want to say I was confident in Michigan State winning, but there was a weird feeling going into this game, Austin, to where I was like, I really have a feeling we can just, and I said it on the show, I feel like Michigan State can hang around Duke. It didn't make sense. We don't hang with them athletically. We don't have the talent to match up with them. We don't have the size. We don't have the depth, but there's just something about this team that I just felt good about going into it. I think this has been Izzo's best coaching job in my lifetime. The only other year I can think of is 15 when they were the 7th seed and they went to the Final Four. But, that wasn't a whole season of work. That was just a run of the NCAA tournament. But, I mean, just looking at the stats of the game, and, I mean, Duke shot 45%. We shot 42%. They shot 2% better from 3. We only had 6 free throws, Austin, the whole game. 6. And we were 2 for 6. We got out-rebounded by 11. We had more assists. Duke had 9 blocks. The huge thing in this game was, if you think Michigan State basketball and negative things, you think turnovers. Michigan State turns the ball over, right? I mean, hell, Austin, the Michigan State-Purdue game, when you guys blew us out of the water, I think we turned the ball over probably 18 times or so.
Mm-hmm.
Duke turned it over 17 times. We turned it over 7. I can't remember the last time a Michigan State team has been under 10 turnovers. I'm sure it's happened, but I just can't think of it. And that was huge. Like you said, Duke loves to run the floor. They love to get on the fast break. They had 0 fast break points. That's
huge.
Mind-blowing to me. How do you hold Zion, RJ Barrett, Trey Jones, who went like 85 minutes without having a turnover and then turn it over late in the game. I mean, those, and then obviously Cam Reddish, who was probably not fully healthy, but they don't get one fast break point. I mean, that's huge. You got back on defense. And for a team like Michigan State, they're kind of a weird tempo because, like Austin said, Austin described their half-court offense perfectly. They are going to screen you on top of the three-point line to death with Tillman and Goins, and Cassius is going to kind of run his sets, and they're going to find somebody open, or they're going to dump it down low to Tillman, and they're going to run the shot clock down until they find an open shot. But they also like to run. Like Michigan State loves to run. They're either running or they are going half court and taking it down to 12 seconds left in the shot clock. But I think where they won this game was how they played defensively. Obviously there's not one person who can stop Zion, who had 5 turnovers, I believe. But what you do is you kind of build a wall, like you round up. You try to deny the entry pass if he does get it. For example, there's one play he was at kind of like the elbow at the 3-point line, and Tillman was on him. And he tried driving on him. Cassius was in the corner. Cassius kind of just slid in. And as soon as Zion spun around, Cassius just stuck his head in there and stole it from him. There just plays like that you don't think about that really won Michigan State this game. And I think what really changed this game, Austin, was when Duke went on like a 13-0 run and was up 30-21. It was kind of like, I even posted in our group chat that we're in, well, it was fun. Like, there was no doubt in my mind it was over. Michigan State could not do anything offensively. Duke was having their way on offense. And then Mr. Cassius Winston decided to lead us to a 13-0 run. And it was all started by, he drove to the basket, which I'm sure is really annoying as an opposing fan to watch because he just kind of like, he's not fast. He just kind of dribbles around, puts the ball behind his back, uses his off arm to get into the lane, and he just kind of makes almost every layup he throws up there. And he did that to RJ Barrett, and I forgot what their center's name is, and he got fouled for the and one, bring him down 7. You steal the ball. Someone hit a 3, I forgot. And then Michigan State, by the end of the half, after being down 30-21, they went up 34-30. And I think that was huge. I mean, obviously, there's no, like, that's not a surprise. That's big. I mean, you go on a 14-0 run to end the half against a team like Duke and hold them scoreless for 4 minutes to be able to do that and take a lead. I thought that was huge. And the second half was just I can't believe how entertaining this Elite Eight was, and this game just was a very sweet ending to it. I mean, just for a college basketball fan, I mean, it was back and forth. There was like 12 lead changes in the second half. These teams were just, I mean, both teams giving everything they have. And I think that's what's special about Zion. Not often do you see the number 1 pick in the draft or the best player in college basketball who's going to be a one and done want to win as bad as Zion does. And I think that adds to his pro potential. I mean, he wants to win. And I mean, just both teams just leaving everything on the court. But I mean, Michigan State just answered every punch Duke had. And to think about the Kennys again, and for Kenny Goins to have, and even Foster Lawyer posted like a gif of, I think it was the South Park gif of the guy with his balls in the wheelbarrow after the game, and had Kenny Goins. I mean, he's like 25, 28 feet away from the rim, and he just took a 3 where Zion closed out from like 5 feet, and he blocked it.
I remember
and
that.
Kenny just launches it, and it's that moment, Austin, as a fan, where you're like, no, like, don't shoot, and then all of a sudden you're jumping out of your chair and going nuts. I honestly couldn't believe it, that not only did Kenny hit that shot, a former walk-on who was a guy who did not shoot a 3-pointer his first year and shot 2 his second year, and has just gradually gotten better and better. For him to hit that shot is just so fitting, I feel like, to this season, to where it's been a complete team effort this whole time. Yeah, Cassius gets his every night, but the guys that just step up when you need to be. And I think Izzo's game plan was kind of just like, all right, my 5 guys are going to play, like, it's going to be my 5 versus your 5. I'm just going to read these minutes to you, Austin. Kenny Goins, 38. Aaron Henry, 38. Xavier Tillman played 29, and that's only because he had 3 fouls with 60 minutes to go. Cassius played 40. Matt McQuaid played 39. So, and then Nick Ward played 13. Gabe Brown came in for 2. I mean, you barely went to your bench at all. Just the fact that this team was able to not... Duke was the team who looked gassed, I'd say, at times. Michigan State just grinded out the whole game. And what a win. I mean, that's really all I can say. I mean, you had crazy things happening. Matt McQuaid dunking on people. Matt McQuaid hitting a circus layup. I don't know if you've seen that, when he just kind of spun and launched it up there. Xavier Tillman, the fast break and one dunk where he got, just absolutely slapped on the arm. His arm didn't even move. It was, and Cassius, just being Cassius and finding ways to will his team to victory. I don't know how else to describe this win and what this win means for Izzo and the program. And, I do believe Izzo needs that second national title to kind of put himself in the, in the same talks of guys like, Coach K and all those guys have multiple titles. I mean, yes, he's a Hall of Famer and he's an all-time great, but I feel like he needs that second title to kind of get to the next step. Which, I don't think there's going to be a better opportunity than this year for that. So that being said, we'll kind of slide into the Final Four talk. Austin, do you think Michigan State's going to be the favorites here? You think it's Virginia, or what do you think with this Final Four, how it kind of ends for Michigan State?
Well, I certainly think that they have a tough team that's hot right now.
God, Texas Tech is scary.
Texas Tech is very, very good defensively, and they're very long as well. So, Texas Tech was actually the team that knocked Purdue out last year in the Sweet 16. Yep. So, I honestly think if Michigan State can get through Texas Tech, I would pick them over Virginia or Auburn in the championship game. I just think Texas Tech right now poses the biggest threat. They're a hungry team. They got knocked out, in the Elite Eight last year. They've been a little up and down, but they've been, immensely strong, and they've been killing people really lately. So their defense is what's concerning. Their length is what's concerning. But again, if you can beat them, I think you match up against, against Virginia well. And Auburn can shoot the lights out, but matchup wise, you can match up against them. So yeah, I think Texas Tech is your one mismatch again. If you can get through Texas Tech, I think you can win it all, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. Texas Tech is scary. Like you said, their defense, man. And they can get going offensively too. And they have a special player themselves in Culver. And not to mention that Mooney kid's good. Moretti is a marksman from deep, the Italian kid. And they have athletic bigs. That Owens guy, I remember we played him when he was at St. John's last year or the year before. And, he's a rim protector. He's a high flyer. Texas Tech is scary. They have I love their coach. Absolutely love Chris Beard, I believe his name is.
Mm-hmm.
Love him. I think he was at UNLV for like 18 days. And then he got offered the Texas Tech job and left. So that was interesting. And then the fact that he put together a team of a bunch of transfers and a guy from Europe and has gone to the Final Four, I think is extremely impressive. Especially, after they beat Michigan, they beat Gonzaga to get there. It's been an impressive run by them. I think it's going to be. I think Texas Tech's obviously better on defense than Michigan State, but these two teams kind of remind me of each other. The way they just grind you out, how physical they are, how physical they want the game to be, and it's going to be a bloodbath. I think it's going to be a 2-3 point game. Whoever wins. I do think Michigan State ends up beating them. Maybe like a go-ahead shot with 30 seconds left, kind of like the Duke scenario. And then I think you will see Michigan State playing Monday night against Virginia or Auburn. I would like to have a humble brag here. I've correctly predicted Michigan State in the Final Four so far, and I correctly predicted Purdue going to the Elite Eight. Just wanted to say that.
Yes, you did.
I do hope I'm wrong though, because on the Purdue show when me and Austin kind of broke the whole bracket down, I had Michigan State losing to Virginia in the championship game, so I don't want that to happen. I do think that's the matchup we see. I think Auburn's run has been special. They have been fun to watch. The way I don't know if you watched their game against North Carolina, Austin, but the way they caught fire against North Carolina was insane. I mean, the second half, they hit like 13 threes, I think, and they couldn't miss. But I think losing their best player, I always forget what his name is. Is it Okiki? Is that his name?
Yeah, the one that went down with the torn ACL.
Yeah, the torn ACL. I think playing Virginia, how Virginia can strangle you on defense, for lack of better terms, I just think their run comes to an end here. I think you need a best player like him in this game against Virginia. Virginia doesn't play. I'm not going to lie to you. If you see Virginia and Michigan State in the national title game, it's probably going to be a very boring game. Unless you love defense or you're just a Michigan State or Virginia fan. But I think that is who we match up against. And as great of a defensive team as Virginia is, I watched the whole Purdue-Virginia game. I'd be more confident, I think, against Virginia than I would be Auburn, just because of the way Auburn can catch fire. I think Michigan State really matches up well with Virginia. So I think that's a matchup that we have, and I think Michigan State ends up winning the national title. Knock on wood, I don't want to jinx it, but I think just the way this year has gone, everything they've gone through, and just to continue to win, I guess you could argue the story. This is one of those stories that has to come to an end, kind of like the Auburn thing for Michigan State. But there's something about this team, Austin, that I just can't pinpoint. That I just feel like their season just is not going to end unless they're cutting on the nets. So I'm really looking forward to Saturday. I got to work Saturday until 3:00, so it's gonna be a long work day. And then when I get home, it's gonna be long because I got to wait till 8:49 to watch the game. So just going to be me and the pup watching it. I'm not going to go out. I'm going to be really anxious about it. So just me in the chair probably drinking some whiskey or something, enjoying the game, man. And win or lose, obviously you lose, I'll be extremely disappointed, like just because I wanted the national title so bad. But as I said about Purdue fans last night, regardless, I'm so proud and I'm so happy that I got to watch this season, and I'm proud of these guys, these kids, because it has been a wild year. I mean, I remember the show where Michigan State lost 3 in a row to Purdue, Indiana, and Illinois, and I was telling Austin that this team might not even make the Sweet 16. So to get to the Final Four, it's been a weird, special year, and I'm extremely excited for this weekend, like I said. So just looking forward to it, man. I mean, it's been a weird tournament, to say the least. Like, a lot of things kind of just ended up how the seeding was, but it made for the best Elite Eight I've ever watched, personally. I know for you, obviously, you want the results to be different, but, I mean, I can't think of a more entertaining Elite Eight in my lifetime than this one.
It's certainly been all good games as a basketball fan. Mm-hmm. I will say that. It's I kind of compare it, not like a true comparison, but it brings to mind when the Cubs won the World Series in 2016. You know, as a Cubs fan, it was a horrendous up and down, series, going down 3-1 and then storming back to win it all. But I mean, as a baseball fan, thinking about it, two franchises that hadn't won a World Series in forever, and just the back and forth of it all. I mean, Game 7 may have been the best game of all time, with Aroldis Chapman coming in and John Schmaltz calling the home run that tied the game in the 8th, the rain delay, and then going into the 11th for the win. So stressful as a Cubs fan, but I mean, amazing as a baseball fan. And just kind of similar way, obviously Purdue did not win. They lost to Virginia. We're about 0.3 seconds away from a Final Four trip.
Yep.
But, as a basketball fan, that's really exciting. Carson Edwards going off for 42. Michigan State beating Duke in the last seconds. I think Texas Tech kind of handily won their game against Gonzaga. It was pretty close, but I think Texas Tech
Gonzaga had like a chance, like 30 seconds left, but Texas Tech kind of pulled away late.
Okay,
it almost kind of gave the game away.
Yeah, and then, who is it? Auburn.
They kind of with 30 seconds. With 30 seconds, they went to overtime.
Oh, that's right.
They thumped North Carolina in the Sweet 16.
That's who it. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Harper had like 26 and Brown had 24 against Kentucky, and that was it. Like, Auburn really didn't play that well, but Kentucky, on the other hand, it was either get the ball to P.J. Washington and score or nothing. Like, P.J. Washington had 28. Reed Travis, who played 44 minutes, only had 9 points. And then Haggins had 10. Johnson had 14. Tyler Harrow only had 7 points, who's like supposed to be like one of the best 3-point shooters in the country. So Kentucky didn't play well either, but it was still entertaining just because of how close the game was. But yeah, it's been a really fun tournament. It's kind of a weird Final Four, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, it's there's not like a true, quote unquote, true blue blood remaining.
Right.
They've all been kind of knocked out. So. Yeah, no, definitely very interesting. But,
you got Texas Tech and Auburn's first Final Four, Virginia's first one since the 80s, I believe, and Michigan State's first Final Four since 2015. But, I mean, given that was only 4 years ago, but, I mean, with the recent 3 years in a row of not getting out of the first weekend, it's huge. So, really excited to watch it this weekend. Like I said, I'm predicting Michigan State to be champions. I'm pretty sure Austin's kind of leaning that way too.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure he'll be rooting for us as a Big Ten team, so it'll be fun to watch this weekend. But in other news for the future, obviously kind of tough to look ahead with these games coming up. Jalen Terry, 5'11" point guard who's extremely athletic for 5'11", is a high flyer actually. Can really dunk the basketball. Coming to Michigan State, he's the first 2020 commit. Actually, just to troll Michigan fans a little bit, Austin, do you know does the name Jalen Watts Jackson ring a bell to you?
I can't say that it does, but okay. I am not.
How about this? Informed. He has trouble with the snap and the ball is free.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, he was the kid who was on special teams, scooped up the ball and scored the touchdown. With Jalen Terry coming in, Rocket Watts already being here, if we get 5-star Isaiah Jackson, Michigan State will have Jalen Watts Jackson on their team in basketball. It's been a little Twitter troll there towards Michigan fans, but Jalen Terry he's right outside of the top 100, which I think he's going to end up in like the 75 to 85 area when it's all said and done. Really talented kid, a prototypical Tom Izzo point guard recruit. He kind of reminds me of like a Keith Appling type, undersized guard, really athletic, can shoot the ball. And just looking ahead in the future, I mean, next year, I guess to say the least, you're looking at a lineup of, honestly, I think the only people you lose is McQuaid and Goins, unless Nick Ward just wants to leave. I think you are looking at a lineup of Cassius, Josh Langford, Aaron Henry, Marcus Bingham, and Xavier Tillman with Nick Ward, Rocket Watts, Gabe Brown, Kyle Arns, guys off the bench. So next year's team should be loaded, but the future looks bright too. I mean, you get a guy like Jalen Terry, he probably is going to be running point when it's a true freshman, honestly, I would think. I should have more faith in Foster Loyer than I do. But Izzo will also have the choice of Rocket Watts, who's more of a shooting guard in my opinion, but a guy who runs point in high school as a sophomore to run the point. But I think you're looking at Jalen Terry, Rocket Watts, Aaron Henry. I do think we have Isaiah Jackson by then, and you probably have Xavier Tillman as a senior there starting with Bingham off the bench and guys like that. So the future's bright. It's a big commitment for us. I haven't really dove deep into the 2020 targets yet. I know we are going hard after Isaiah Jackson. A guy named Carlos Johnson we're going pretty hard after out of Michigan. So there's some guys to be had. It kind of looks like Izzo's going back to his roots of recruiting after he virtually struck out on every single guy he went for this year. He kind of shot big, Austin, and went for like 8 5-stars, got none of them. So I think he's going back to his roots of, guys from like the 30 to 100 range, which has worked for him in the past. So just keep your eyes out for guys like Isaiah Jackson and stuff to see if we do end up landing him. Other than that, I mean, somewhat of a shorter show, kind of going to end up around 40 minutes, which I told Austin the goal was. Can't believe I hit it. Kind of thought I'd ramble on a little bit here, but kind of been, it's tournament time. There's really not much else to look forward to other than the Final Four and the championship game. So, Austin, if you don't have any final thoughts, man, you can take us out of here. And last thing I'm going to say is go green, go white, and hopefully by the next time I'm talking to you guys, Michigan State's national champions.
Yeah, definitely. Good luck to the Spartans this Saturday, and we'll see what we're talking about next week, whether that's a title or not. So, yeah, man, great job. Exciting stuff with Michigan State basketball, and this team is, not who we thought they were, but then again, they are who we thought they were.
As you've been saying about them all season.
Yep. So, as always, I'm Austin, co-host John Emmons. Thanks for tuning in. Enjoy the games this weekend, and we will see you guys next time.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. If you like what you heard tonight, subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, Voice of the Fan, and also give us a listen on SoundCloud. And if you could, like our page on Facebook at Voice of the Fan, and follow us on Twitter at Voice of the Fan PC. Thanks, everyone.